Any business-to-business relationship requires contracts. And if companies does not do that right, then companies fail.
Hemanth, I'm excited to be able to chat with you today. To begin, can you describe what is Malbek in 5 seconds, very briefly?
Sure. Malbek is a contract lifecycle management solution where we help companies, businesses manage their contracts throughout the life cycle, from drafting, negotiation, signature, and post-commitment tracking. So it's a complete contract lifecycle management.
On your site, I see contract management reimagined. I like nice phrase. Let's dive a little bit deeper. How did you come across this problem itself? And you said, okay, I need to solve this.
Sure. Before Malbek, I've been executive for multiple companies. I was CTO, SVP of products and engineering. And one thing that I noticed in every company that I've been at, the companies did not have a clue on what kind of products and services that they have sold to different customer base over 7 years, 10 years, right? And they did not know what kind of commitment that they had made. And they couldn't locate the contracts in time. And closing the business was a difficult thing. So all combined together, I just noticed a problem which is pretty obvious. Any business-to-business relationship requires contracts. And if companies does not do that right, then companies fail. And it's a heavy risk exposure for those companies. So yeah, I mean, that made me think about contracts, and me and 2 other co-founders, we did this company.
And this is coming up on 4 years that you've had it. Can you describe maybe some use case or a case study of one of your clients?
Sure. In most of the places you would have heard that legal is a bottleneck, right? Legal team is a bottleneck. And companies do not want to have 20 lawyers for 20 salespeople, right? So every contract needs to be handled by the legal team. That's the previous way of thinking. Now, with our solution, what we are able to do is, with pre-approved language, sales team will be able to take care of their contracts pretty much 90% of the time, and sometimes 95% of the time with self-service, and maybe 5% of the time where it's deviating from the normal language, then the legal comes in. So the legal will become a catalyst rather than a business inhibitor. So that's what our solution will.
Your target market, those who are using this, is it then the sales team, the sales managers that would want to be able to say, yes, let's implement this into our process so our sales team doesn't need to bring in legal so often?
So it's for the whole enterprise, but sales is one side of it. Anything that you sell or buy, right? So you need contract. Anything that requires formal relationship, that requires contract. So the procurement is also a use case that we solve pretty well. Sales teams, IT contracts, right? HR contracts. So any contracts where the system, the businesses are using. So that's when we come in. So it's a platform for any contracts.
What level size or company does it make sense for where it's just gets to the point where it's complex, this makes sense to be able to use?
So believe it or not, we have companies with, we have users, like 5-user license, all the way to 5,000 or 10,000 users, right? So the size does not matter, frankly. Small companies have major problems too, right? If you don't handle your contracts well, it's going to be a major problem for you as you grow, right? So it's for all the companies across the board, but anyone who has, let's say, they have to execute 30, 40, 50 contracts a quarter, that's where at least minimum you need to have our solution.
So what is kind of the standout difference of, instead of saying, all right, let's just create a bank of different contract options and they're in a Google Drive somewhere or Dropbox and we'll just pull it when we need it. How does your platform work differently?
Sure. So the minute you start putting contracts into our system, every contract that runs to our system, it makes the system more intelligent, our solution more intelligent. And it will start providing you insights that you would not get from any other places like Google Drive. So it's more passive on the Google Drive. You just keep it there and you have no context when you're negotiating the next contract or when you're drafting the next contract. So with our solution, it gets smarter from every point. From when salespeople request a specific contract, then it can draft the contract in such a way that the last time you did these kind of contract and the round trips got reduced from 7 round trips negotiation to 2. And this is the best kind of contract that you can draft. So it's about the efficiency, effectiveness, and the efficacy. So we help in all sides of those.
So it's keeping track of how many revisions it took based off of that type of contract. So next time it can say, you should just use this type of language next time. Am I getting that right?
That's right. It's both syntax and the semantics. You know how legalese is. It can get very crazy, right? It's extremely difficult with very complex language there. But it provides both, it does both semantic analysis as well as the syntax analysis. And it will be able to provide you context. Like, for example, you're looking at liability negotiation. It will be able to give you, okay, these are the kind of liability languages that you have accepted in the past. And here's some of the recommendations for you, right? Rather than doing it every time without any context and reinventing the wheel every time. So just imagine the time that they have to spend and the mistakes that they can make, right? So that's what our system will help with.
Can you share any more about the technology behind it? How, obviously, it's been a couple of years in development to bring it to where it is now. Can you share any more details?
Sure. It's all, like microservices platform. We took advantage of every new modern technology out there, right? From the development side to the deployment side, the user interface, the AI engine that we have built, every part of it is microservices driven, and it can scale up and down, right? We will be able to handle customers with million contracts or even billion contracts for that matter, right? So, and also the performance of our solution is so much better than any of those legacy solutions out there.
How did you train your AI engine to be able to recognize? What did you train it on?
So there are 2 types of training. One is definitely out of the box, we train saying these are the best practices for some of the smaller companies. But think about this, one size fits all just doesn't work, right? So for larger companies, they have their own special clauses, special languages. And what we provide is we provide a platform where they can trade their own, own contracts. And with that, the system will get smarter.
It's similar to Netflix recommendations. Effectively, it'll get, the more it learns what is important, the more it will understand and recommend certain clauses, certain elements to the users.
That's
correct?
That's right.
For this kind of the roadmap and where you guys are headed, what are you most excited about coming up into 2021 that you're focusing on and that you can share?
Yeah, so believe it or not, in this industry, definitely AI, like any industry, AI plays a critical role. But apart from that, the biggest challenge this industry faces is the integrations. Integration is a major, major challenge. So you have to play well with the CRMs of the world, the ERPs of the world, and there are a plethora of applications, including, for example, vendor background checks that you want to do. Or you want to take a French contract and turn that into English contract for the headquarters. So the language translation. So there are a plethora of these. Like the connector framework that we have built, the platform with which you can drag and drop, and you can pretty much integrate with no IT involvement if you have to, right? With zero code. That is one of the exciting things, apart from many things that we have built. That is one of the many exciting technologies that we are bringing to the market.
Talk about integration, that is powerful and very important in today's world because we're using all these different services both for storing our customer data, for our data management, and now creating contracts and then getting signatures. Your platform isn't about getting the contract signatures, correct? Is that you make integrations, or do you do that as well?
So currently we don't offer e-signature, but that's something that's on the roadmap. Like we integrate with DocuSign and Adobe Sign and a few e-sign vendors. But yeah, that's how it is. And it's very easy on the platform. You just initiate the signature and you don't have to go to DocuSign or, like other places. The integration is very seamless.
And obviously that analytics and the data about when they sign, how they sign, and all that tracking comes back in, and you can track the overall analytics.
Completely. And then, like our system also handles very complex rules. For example, think about a company with 3,000 users or 5,000 users, and you don't know who the signatory is. Who should sign this contract, this type of contract with these kind of clause changes, with this contract value? Who should sign? There can be 300, 500 people in the company who can sign different types of contracts. So our system helps that, routing to specific signatory, right? It makes it so much easier. Believe it or not, some companies, they save time in every part of the life cycle, even in the signature time. They had to wait for 2 days, 3 days, 5 days before. And with our solution, it's instantaneous. It goes to the right people.
How does that work exactly? Is it keeping track of as far as like the contacts at that company and knowing who's the right signer? I'm just curious, how does that work even?
So some are rules based. I mean, definitely AI, like AI works in many places, but not this. I mean, you don't want to send a $20,000 contract to CFO who would never see it, for example, in some large companies. So it's rules based, right? They can create complex rules. Again, with no coding, everything can be done by business analyst or the customer itself with self-service.
What's the general startup time from like, all right, let's get started, let's get integrated to our systems? What's the general timeline for that?
So we have small customers who can go live in weeks. And believe it or not, we have a customer who is going live in 1 week, right? So it's they have pretty complex process, but still we are able to handle it pretty well. And there are customers which are very large enterprises that can take a couple of months.
And business model, monthly, yearly contract based on the number of users?
So it's per user per month. And typically we sign longer contracts, and longer contracts get pretty good discount. And also it's in their best interest to make sure that they have a consistent process over many years rather than just for a few months. So it's definitely not a monthly thing. It's typically yearly or multiple years.
Yeah, the real power is it learning and growing and using it and building a system around it. Where can people go to learn more, and what's a good first step that they can take?
So definitely malbek.io or malbek.com is our website. That's the first place to go into. And then, of course, we have the YouTube channel, the blog, every place, the LinkedIn page. We have presence in all social media. Our marketing team, a team of very small, very small team members, it acts like we are a big company. Yeah, so they've done a pretty good job in going through all the channels.
Have you seen a company using AI, machine learning, or other technology to transform the way we live, work, and do business? Go to uptechreport.com and let us know.